PartsWatch inventory redistribution functionality allows you to distribute stock from overstock stores to understock stores. This is a two-part video. Part 1 will cover inventory redistribution setup and review of quantities. Part 2 will discuss auto-generation of purchase orders and sales orders used to distribute the stock. Part 1, Setup and Review.
I'm going to open up the inventory redistribution setup screen. Here I can set up my parameters for invoking a distribution. Right now we're limited to one line code at a time, so I can only work on one line at a time until we enhance this further. So at minimum I do need to select a line code. I can then enter other filters, like if I want to limit to just a particular subline or give it a range of part numbers. I can give the popularity, sales class, all these things. This is the most interesting, I think, to a lot of people. This is the minimum cost, so I can say I don't want to include or consider any part numbers whose cost is less than $1. So I don't want to move nuts and bolts and cotter pins, things of that nature. I need to tell the application how to determine what a store's overstock is. PartsWatch supports 3 stocking levels, min, max, and order point. So I'm going to say whatever I have set on the part record as the max, anything above that is considered overstock. So if the part has 11 in stock and my max is set to 10, then I have 1 overstock. For the min, or the understock, I'm going to use a setting of min. I could use the same. So in my last example, if max was 10 and I had 3 in stock only, then I'm 7 understocked. PartsWatch supports multiple stocking levels. So I'm going to set it to min. So min is just another setting on the part record that can be used for replenishment purposes, similar to inventory redistribution. The fill sequence, this basically says fill the stores that need the most first. Those that have the highest understock, fill them first, and then slowly work your way back to the stores that have the lowest or least understock. This setting here allows me to dictate whether or not we should adjust per car. So what this says is if a part has a per car setting greater than 1, then fill that part to the per car setting first. Once you've gotten those parts worked out, at least brought up to their per car setting, we come back again and work to fill everything up to its max. That's what the adjust per car is about. This allows me to say ignore any on order value. So if stores in my enterprise have parts on order, if I check this, it says ignore them. So for instance, in store 1, if the min was set to 10 and I currently have in stock only 9, I'm understocked by 1. But there's a purchase order in that same store ordering that 1 to replenish it. So essentially, if this is unchecked, store 1 doesn't need any because it has 9, it needs to have a minimum of 10, it has 1 on order. But if I check this, that tells the application ignore anything that might be on order, and it'll tell the application to try and get that 1 into store 1. Treat negative stock as 0 says that if store 1's inventory has gone below 0, for instance, we've oversold, so the inventory says store 1 has -3 in stock and the min is 10, I'm going to try and only bring it to 10, not to 13. I'm going to leave these unchecked. Here I can select what stores in my enterprise are involved. I'm going to select everything. So this says plow through every single store, looking for every part that's understocked and try to replenish it, and then look through every store for all of its overstocked parts and try to replenish the understocked parts. Now, if I had stores in California and stores in New Jersey, it might not be a good idea to try to replenish the California stores with New Jersey inventory because the shipping costs would be a little insane. I might just want to limit it to the stores 100 and above. That's the idea with allowing you to select and choose and decide what stores you're going to have involved. in the future, we're hoping to have saved profiles. So you can set this all up one time for your California region or your West Coast region, your East Coast region, and you can save that profile. You can recall it, and your stores will already be pre-selected, so you don't have to remember what store numbers are where. Once I'm happy with what I've configured here, I can hit the Run button. The Run button is going to tell the application, take this information and just run with it. If I hit the Reset button, it clears my screen and I start over. So I'm going to go ahead and run. It's just confirming that this is what you want to do. I'm going to say yes. This is the review screen. I can close this and get to this again through our menu. And select one. Assumably, if I've been doing this for a long time, I would have a whole list of different inventory redistribution runs that I've done in the past, and I can look for different statuses. I can look for the ones that have been finished. I can see that there was one that was done a week and a half ago for a line called WBW. Pending ones are the ones that are waiting for me to look at, review, and say, hey, I find this acceptable. So here we have all the information. So in my entire enterprise, this is a complete list of parts that are understocked in a store. The pink row indicates what is understocked. So here's store number 2. He has a min of 1 and a max of 1 on this particular part number, this Wix 33732. But unfortunately, store number 2 has none in stock. So he's understocked by 1. That's why we show a -1 here. And the application is suggesting that we find one. Now, lo and behold, fortunately, store 505 happens to have, he's got a min of 1 and a max of 1, and he currently has 20 in stock. So the application is suggesting take 1 from store 505 and move it over to store 2. And that's what all of this is about. Now I can do some interesting things here. As I scroll down, it's all sorted by part number and sorted, everything is listed by what is suggested to be moved. Let me go back to the top. So this is the only interesting part here, where in store 2, we have a Wix 42088 with a min of 10 and a max of 15. He only has 1 available. So he's really 9 understocked. So the application is suggesting to find 9 to bring him up to his minimum. There was no individual store that had 9 available, but we did find that between stores 505, 506, and 507, we can bring this store up. So this is going to cause store 2 to ask 505, 506, and 507 to send parts. If I'm happy with this, I can just go with it. But if I would like to change things, I have that flexibility. I could conceivably tell the application, I know that this is understocked by 1, but I want to move 2 units from store 505. So I can edit that, and the application will allow me to do that.
Part 2, create purchase orders and sales orders. Once you've made any edits on the inventory redistribution review screen, and you're happy with the quantities that are going to be moved around, then the next step would be to click the order button. When you click yes at this prompt, purchase orders will be created in the understock stores and auto-transmitted. Sales orders will be created in the overstock stores once the PO transmits. This could take a minute or so, based on how often background jobs are set to process in the store. Let's have a look at the purchase order that was created in the understocked store 260, which is the store I'm in already. You can see here we have a purchase order. It was just created. The source is XFR or transfer. My supplier is the supplier representing store 250, where the parts are coming from. That was my overstock store. It has a PO number beginning with T, meaning it was a transfer PO. It was created today. The method is redistribution. This is a new order method created for inventory redistribution. This is showing me the order has been released or sent and showing me my total cost and lines. And this vendor reply of confirmed shows that it transmitted successfully to store 250. And let's just open up the PO and have a look. Okay, it's telling me I can't edit it because it's already been transmitted to the vendor. Here's my PO with my 2 understocked parts. Nothing really special about the PO itself. It's just a regular PO being ordered from one of my own stores. So let's take a look at our sales order next. I'm now on the invoicing screen in store 250, and my transfer accounts are set to create transfer tickets as PICs. So if we click reference, we should see our PIC ticket right at the top of the list since it was just created. So here we see account 7012, which is my transfer account. This PIC was created today. The seller is StarBG, which means it came in as a background job, which is how transfer tickets come in. So let's have a look at this ticket. As you can see, these are the same 2 parts that were on the purchase order. So we are ready to pick these parts, and when I invoice this ticket, it will update the purchase order. Now I could have, if I didn't want to give both of these parts to the other store, I could have edited this and the edited quantities would be reflected on my PO. Now let's take a look at our PO. So we'll go back to store, or back to my window that has the PO still open in store 260. And if we look at the PO now, it has a status of ASN instead of ORD-R like it did before. So let's take a look at this. It's telling me again it's been transmitted. I can't edit the order quantities, but I do now have an inbound quantity. And when these parts arrive at my dock, all I need to do is receive the PO like any other PO. And now my parts are in stock and the procedure is complete.